Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm actually going to be setting up a new bullet journal. This one I'm primarily going to be using to track my hobbies and social media accounts. I'm probably going to end up using it for more than that. I don't know yet, but we'll see. As of right now, I'm just going to be setting it up to track my hobbies and social media. So here I am getting ready my 2022 cover page. I just printed out a bunch of different fonts saying 2022 on clear sticker paper. Then I'm going to add some washi to either side of it. I actually added these last two 2022s a little bit off center, so that's why I'm adding the washi here to kind of even it out a little bit and make it look more intentional. The journal that I'm using today is from Amazon. It's a scribble and dot journal. I purchased it because I didn't want to not necessarily invest. I didn't want to use one of my more expensive journals if the actual bullet journaling is not something that I will do enough to justify it. I use my reading journal all the time, but I wasn't sure if I would actually use a full-blown bullet journal setup. So I purchased this from Amazon. It's a beautiful journal. The only issue that I have with it, which I saw in the comments before I even purchased it, or in the reviews, is that the dots in this journal are borderline non-existent. They are so light, and I struggle quite a bit setting this journal up, trying to see what I'm doing, and often end up with like very crooked lines. It's not a good time, but other than the dots being too light, the journal itself so far has seemed really great. I have the same problem with this journal as I do with my Archer and Olive journals. When I'm stamping, it does bleed through, and I don't know if that's just because like I stamp too heavily, like I press down too hard or what, but it is an issue that I did experience in this journal, but I also experienced that in my Archer and Olive journals as well. So moving on, now I am setting up a social media tracker. I am just very curious to see month over month how my growth is. So I'm setting this up to monitor at the beginning of the month and the end of the month my follower or subscriber counts for YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I don't really use Instagram too much, but I do post on YouTube and TikTok pretty regularly. So I thought it would be nice to be able to see over time like how my follower count grows. So my plan for these two pages here were to have kind of like a metal grid wall storage look. So I'm actually using a metallic Cricut marker. This one is, I believe, the copper color. I thought it looked very much like metal. So I'm using that and drawing grids behind my stickers with the months that I had put on there. And then I noticed that the marker was actually bleeding or rubbing a little bit, so I stopped on the social media page and I'm moving over to the next page to start working on the grids over there as well. This next page is going to be my hobby tracker. So what I'm going to end up doing is just pasting little images of my hobbies on here, which we'll get to pretty soon here, I believe. So I printed out some Polaroid images from Google, and then I used an X-Acto knife to cut them off of my sticker paper so that it would be outlined as thin as possible or as close as possible to the actual image. And then I doodled some of my hobbies inside the Polaroids. I thought it would be super cute. I really wish I had put down this Polaroid banner first, because as I look back on it, I really feel like it should have just been in the center of the page, but you live and you learn. So I've got my hobbies here. I've got Cricut, painting, embroidery, photography, scrapbooking. I believe I have a couple more that I add later on off camera that will be in my final flip through. Then I'm adding another banner over to the other side for my social media trackers and writing social media in the middle Polaroid. I will, I think, eventually put like a YouTube icon and a TikTok icon in the other two blank Polaroids, but I have not yet done that. Now I'm just coloring in to add a little bit of color here. I'm using gray, a pink, a light blue, I believe, as well, and just kind of coloring the Polaroids in to give them a little bit more character. Here's a little bit more of a closer look at the doodles that I've got on my Polaroids. I am still trying to decide if I actually want to color these doodles in or if I just want to leave the Polaroids colored and have the doodles remain black and white. What do you think? Do you think I should color these in, or do you think I should just leave them as is? Let me know. For all of the coloring that I'm doing today in my journal, I am using TomBow dual brush pens. I will leave the numbers for each color that I've used in the description box below if you are interested. Now we are on my next page, which is going to be similar to a future log that is in most bullet journals, but I am actually doing something a little bit differently here, and I do not know if it's going to work or if I'll just end up scrapping it halfway through. But I am going to list out the next 6 months, July through December, and stamp the months below each title. And then I've also got a kind of key up at the top. You can see right here where it has photography, embroidery with like a little box next to it. I'm going to assign each of my hobbies a color. So then whenever I complete a hobby, I'm going to then like do a little circle over the day of that month. And then below the month, I'll write down the day that I did it and exactly what I did. So as an example, if I do a floral embroidery hoop on July 4th, I'll put a 4 and then add like floral embroidery hoop underneath as like a little description and then highlight the 4. That's my plan, at least. I don't know if that's gonna work or not, or if I'll even enjoy doing that. We'll see. This next page that I'm working on now is going to be a theme ideas page. I often have like a bunch of ideas and don't write them down and then forget about them. So I figured if I have this page, I can go in and actually doodle like what I'm thinking of doing for a future theme for either this journal or my reading journal. The page after that I'm working on now is actually going to be a to try or invest page. as if I don't have enough hobbies already. I do frequently see new hobbies that I want to try. So before I start purchasing everything to go with that hobby, I figured I could write it down on my to try page and give it some time to stew before I actually start purchasing stuff to try this new hobby, in case it's not something that I want to do. The invest section of this is going to be like hobby materials for hobbies that I'm already doing that I might want to invest in the future. I can write that down here as a list, and then eventually whenever I have extra funds or really want to try something new with a hobby that I'm already doing, I can just come back to this list and reference it and see if there's anything that I want to purchase. And then now I'm just adding the title to my theme ideas page, which I did completely on a whim. I did not sketch that out, so that's why I was just paused there for a moment, trying to figure out if I wanted to sketch it out first or if I just wanted to try it and see if it worked. This next page here is going to be a content ideas page. So I'm doing kind of like a little spiral bound notebook and adding some pages behind it to make it look a little bit more 3D. And then I'll just use this as a place to write down any content ideas I might have in the future that I'm not going to be doing right away. And then since the dots in this journal are so light, I'm actually outlining the lines. That way I've got a place to write, because I personally am a very crooked writer, so if I don't have a line to follow, I will start going diagonal. So I figured I could just add in the lines here, and then I'll have them for the future. This content ideas page is going to be the last of the general pages that I'm going to do, and then I'll get into monthly pages. I did leave 2 blank pages after that in order to add anything else if I can think of anything in the future. But then we're going to go right into July for monthly spreads. So I'm doing a kind of cover page here with just the word July, and then I have stamped the month of July below that. And I'm just adding kind of like a floral pattern with just random doodles that I've done with my TomBow dual brush pens. Now I'm just adding a bunch of dots, and I will actually come back to this later on and add some little green leaves as well, just to make sure that it ties in with the rest of the spreads that I'm doing. This is going to be my monthly calendar here. I did already stamp the days of the week up at the top, and then I'm going to outline each box individually with my pink brush pen, and then I will actually come back and re-outline this with my fine liner as well. And I will highlight and add the dates. So I'm going to use this calendar here as a really upload tracker for YouTube or TikTok, or just in general if I have something specific that I need to do, or if I'm planning like a craft night with one of my girlfriends or something like that. I can add that here to this planner page, and then kind of keep track of what I'm doing that way. I will also add titles for like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram over to the side. That way if I've got an upload that I'm scheduling for one of those platforms, I can just highlight it in the associated color that I've got off to the side. I'm sure you'll notice here when I assign these social media keys a color that the colors match nothing. They don't match any of the spreads that I've done for July at all, so I'm not sure why I chose the ones that I did, but here we are. So the last spread that I'm going to work on today is actually going to be a weekly spread. I'm starting the first week of July on the 4th, since the week prior to that is a mix between July and June. So I'm going to be starting this one on the 4th, and my idea for the weekly spreads, since this is going to be more of a hobby / social media journal, is to take a photo of any craft that I complete that day and print it on sticker paper, similar to how I do my book covers for my reading journal. And then that way I can stick the picture of the craft that I completed, and then potentially do a little bit of journaling right next to it about the craft and what I liked about it or what I didn't like about it, or something I might want to change in the future if I were to do that craft again. So that's my plan for my weeklies. That could obviously change because, things don't usually always go as planned. So we'll see when it actually comes down to the first week of July and I'm doing some crafting. I don't think I actually mentioned the purpose or the reasoning for why I wanted to create a hobby journal. As I've said several times, I do have a lot of hobbies. Like I basically collect hobbies. So because I've got so many hobbies that I do enjoy doing, I find that I don't actually do any of them. So I wanted to start this journal in order to keep track of when I am doing my hobbies, or kind of push me to do them more so that I can record or write about them. That way I'm just not doing them. So that's my plan, as kind of like an accountability type thing as well, that maybe if I've got someplace to record and track the hobbies that I've completed, that maybe I will make sure that I'm doing them more often, instead of just letting those items that I've purchased for said hobbies kind of sit in my closet or in my craft room just unused. I think this spread of all of the ones that I've done today is my favorite. I just love the little like vine border and then the floral design underneath it. I don't know what it is about it, but it brings me joy. I think this one is my favorite of all of the ones that I've done today. So as I said, this is my final spread for today. Once I get this finished up, it will flip over and show you a final flip through. Let me know if anybody would be interested in seeing like future monthly updates, or like a final flip through or something like that once I've got this more filled out. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Leave me a comment below and tell me something that you're proud of yourself for completing today, or just any reason that you might be proud of yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.